Hi, you're listening to the Professional Speaks podcast with me, Craig McKellar, your host. As an ex-big 4 auditor for 6 years, I now run a specialist recruitment consultancy called McKellar Consulting. Throughout this podcast, I speak to senior leaders from the professional services community, past, present and future. These leaders work in accounting and finance, audit, tax, corporate finance, consulting, legal and investments. In the comfort of their own office, I will be posing questions to our guests to gain insights from them across a variety of topics, including balancing work and life, mental health and mindset, risk-taking, and effective leadership. These insights will help us learn, be inspired, grow, and ultimately succeed in what we want to achieve in our careers. Here's what's coming up on today's episode.
So I think your audit gives you your background on being financially curious. And I think the bit that you develop on the job in corporate finance is more that commercial curiosity. So it's, okay, thinking, why have they done that? Why have they done that strategy? Why have they decided to grow through, is it revenue growth, is it acquisition, is it why, it's starting to question why the business is doing things.
In this episode, I am joined by Roger Mayer, who is a corporate finance partner and co-owner of H&H, a boutique advisory business in Edinburgh. Topics discussed include what character traits or personality types make a successful corporate financier, highlights of his career, and what is keeping him busy after being in role for just over 6 months. Roger, thank you very much for being part of the Professional Speaks podcast.
No worries.
Good to have you on.
Yeah.
And just to introduce you to listeners and viewers, you're currently a corporate finance partner at H&H, which is a boutique advisory business here in Edinburgh.
Yep.
And co-owner, I guess, as well. If you just mind telling us a bit about yourself, family background, things like that, that'd be great.
Yeah. So you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not originally from Scotland, so I've been up here now since 2005. My better half is Scottish, and that's why I made the move up here. So I originally grew up in Gloucester, spent some time in Southampton at university and doing my qualification, and moved up here, as I said, in 2005. I have a wife and 2 young boys who keep me on my toes, keep me busy outside of work, and just trying to love all things to do with sport and travelling, things like that, taking career breaks for travelling, etc. So that's kind of probably my brief background.
No, that's
if that's what you're after.
And given you're not from Edinburgh, but you spent a lot of time up here, if there's people listening, from around the world that maybe are considering Edinburgh, is it a great place to work and live?
I recommend it to anyone. It's a fantastic place to live. It's you've got all the history, you've got so much going on. It's a capital, but still quite small, so you get the best of both worlds. You can be in the city centre with lots of vibrant activities to do, and then half an hour you're out in the countryside and you can do walks, and there's access up to the north of Scotland, which is a beautiful part of the world. Just being a little bit warmer, but apart from that, I would recommend it to anyone.
Great, good. No, and the sun does shine here, shining today. So.
Yes, it wasn't yesterday.
No. And just before, I guess, we get into kind of your career journey as well, I know you started off in audit, went into corporate finance, and many people do look to make that move. Why did you want to make that move, and why did you make that move?
Yeah, I guess when I joined, so I originally was at Grant Thornton, did my training contract. I kind of went into the job, out of uni, not really knowing what to do, and getting a qualification in accountancy seemed like the right thing to do. I think I went into it fully knowing on day one I had no intention of ever being in audit long term. Yeah. So my advice to people would always be, I spent my 3 years doing my qualification, doing my job. I invested time to really understand what other parts of the firm did. So whether that was corporate finance, restructuring, consultancy, other parts of career development within the firm I was in, I really invested the time to get to know the people and understand what they do and what the day job looked like, so I can make an informed decision on what I did next. And I was always very keen to do something that was very commercial, and corporate finance, we tick that box. it is probably the most commercial role within an accounting practice in terms of what you're doing, because it's about transactions and getting those done over a 6 to 9 month period of time, and really investing the time to be in issue resolution mode. And that really appealed to me from the audit days of being very technical and very regimented to sometimes you don't know what you're going to do from day to day, but you always know it's going to be from a very commercial perspective. So that really drove me to make that shift, and I have to have enjoyed it since then.
And was it, all that you thought it was going to be, or, because sometimes there can be misconceptions about corporate finance. Many people think, they want to go into it, and I think largely people who do make the move, will stay in that area, but some people go into it and find it's maybe not what they thought it was.
Yeah, I think there probably is a few misconceptions. I think one of the misconceptions, which is probably in the positive, is I think people get the perspective that you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there are peaks and troughs. There are times on a deal when you are all hands to the pump and you have to get stuff done. But it's actually, I think the misconception is actually you kind of have quite a good balance between work and life.
Yeah.
In the job, I think the one thing though that you aren't aware of when you go into it, and maybe even still on day one you still don't see it, is you go into it to do deals, but as you progress, you have to win work as well, and that becoming a winner of work, not delivery of work, is probably the biggest change you'll find as you go through corporate finance, and that's maybe put some people off. Some people like that, some people don't. I personally enjoy it. I like being out, meeting people, trying to win new work, trying to build your network, building out relationships. But that's probably the two. So one, I think, is in the positive. I think it puts some people off. It's going to be work. It's not like that. The other side is that kind of selling side of it is probably no one goes into it thinking you have to be a bit of a salesman. Eventually you're a salesperson, which eventually you have to become.
And I mean, would you say though that the originating work really just comes from building relationships with people?
It's relationships and experience. I think if I look back at the exec me when I first joined, going out and meeting potential clients and having that fear of, well, why do they want to listen to me? And but that confidence comes with experience. And as you do more deals, you suddenly realise you've got this bank of intel that you can use, and that's what you do in origination. You build the relationship and you demonstrate you have the experience, and so your confidence comes from that.
And I guess to be successful in corporate finance, what character traits or personality types would you say are best suited? Obviously we're talking maybe generically here, case by case scenario, but kind of generally speaking. I think self-starters, people who are proactive, people who like to ask questions, that aren't just going to sit there and think, give me a task to do and I'll do that task. You need to start. It's that commercial side of things. You need to start thinking, more proactively. If you want to progress from joining a corporate finance team to becoming a manager, becoming an AD, it's all about owning the transaction, owning what needs to be done, and thinking, okay, what needs to happen next? How do we get from A to completion? And being proactive and really asking questions along the way, always being curious, and being solutions driven. Always joke, there's other parts of corporate finance where problems are created. Our job is to solve problems. I kind of view a transaction as it's just a number of problems that need to be solved until you get to completion, and that might be something simple of you need to write an information memorandum, or an issue comes up on a deal and you need to solve that to keep the deal on track. Maybe it's trading's dropped off, and so it's that positive mindset to always not think I've got a problem, I don't know what to do, to actually know how do I solve this. You've got to go into that solution mode quite quickly. And do you think your background in audit, and I guess even wider than that, just for other individuals thinking about this, working in professional services, like doing your training, does that help you become curious? I guess if particularly if you're dealing with clients trying to understand them, underlying reasons for movements in P&L or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I think your audit gives you your background on being financially curious. And I think the bit that you develop on the job in corporate finance is more that commercial curiosity. So it's, okay, thinking, why have they done that? Why have they done that strategy? Why have they decided to grow through, is it revenue growth, is it acquisition, is it why, it's starting to question why the business is doing things, not questioning why is revenue moved from A to B.
Yeah.
So that's the development to go on. So I think the audit background, though, when you first start out, it gives you that really strong background on that financial curiosity, but you need to develop that question as to why things have been done the way they are. Which in audit, I think you have to do that a bit. But less so when you're going through your training. It's more about, okay, why is X move to why is this move? Why is this like this last year? Why is it like this year?
Yeah, and I guess having a genuine interest in your client, and I guess even the sector they work in as well, because a lot of what you do is tech as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll look at. I'll do stuff across lots of sectors. In my background, I've done logistics businesses. I've done veterinary wholesalers. But for the last 4 or 5 years, I've tended to focus more on tech. So I spend, 70-80% of my time on the tech space. But I find it really interesting. And that's where that curiosity is. So now it then goes to that experience point of once you've done quite a few deals in a sector, you've got that inbuilt experience. You know what the pitfalls are. You know what buyers are looking for. And that curiosity of understanding why they've done X and Y versus how you've seen other people do stuff, I think all helps with that kind of position a business if they're trying to raise money or if they're trying to sell.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I guess for myself and doing, recruitment for many years, at first it's a bit daunting and, having that confidence. But when you start assisting people into roles, start working in sectors more and more, as you said, your experience helps you, have that track record and become more of a specialist and know things well. Going back to your career then, so we've covered that you started off at Grant Thornton in audit, moved into corporate finance, and I guess progressed there, moved up to Edinburgh. What was kind of next in your
so I did audit in Southampton for 3 years, and then I moved up to Scotland and I had to do 1 more year in audit as part of the deal to get me up here. And so I then moved to corporate finance, and let me do both moves at the first time. So I had to pay my dues. So I started in corporate finance at Grant Thornton in Scotland. So it was me and one director. It was a new team. So that was a great experience, a great learning curve of, there's the director and there's me. So it's just, sink or swim type, which was great. So I did that. And that team expanded out. So from the two of us originally, I think when I left in 2010, we're probably up to 7 or 8 in the team. So I was progressing from assistant manager to manager. And then I made the move to Lloyds Banking Group into the BSU team, business support unit. And that was basically, I mean, if you're interested why,
I'm just going to ask.
The main reason for that is the financial crisis had hit. My wife also works in corporate finance as well at Grant Thornton. So there's a bit of, all right, eggs are in one basket here at the moment. I was concerned about deal flow from an advisory point of view during the financial crisis in 2010. So the opportunity to join secondment to Lloyds Banking Group came about because the advisory team was a bit quieter. And that was really going in, and Lloyds Banking Group had done a number of property loan deals across Europe during the good times. They were now in their business support team that needed managed out. So I saw that as a great opportunity to do it on a temporary basis to guarantee deal flow on more negative side of things. But you knew there's going to be a transaction profile and to continue to build my experience versus maybe staying in an advisory team during a downturn where deal flow wasn't as high, and maybe it was going to hold me back a bit in my career. So it was very much a career-driven point to make sure I was getting the right experience.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because I often talk to people about this, in terms of thinking about opportunities in your career. It is a good idea to think of, if you come to a fork in the road about making a decision, what I do over the next 3 years, is that really going to develop me for what I want to do next? And if I'm going to be up against other people going for whatever role it is, what have I done in those 3 years? So you obviously had that mindset where, you could have stayed and potentially, would have, you would have kept your job, but it would have been comfortable, but you might not have developed much, but you went and did something where you would develop in that time.
Yeah, and it was. I saw it as a way to develop different skills. So I'd done my career on the trying to sell, trying to raise, all very positive to where we're trying to exit because it hasn't gone well. So difficult, challenging conversations with clients, difficult situations to deal with, and I thought actually that's going to make me a better advisor. Yeah. So I'm dealing with situations which are uncomfortable, and you just got to get on and do that. And that role then developed into a portfolio loan team where there was 3 of us in the team, and our task was to wholesale exit out of Europe the property deals. So we ended up doing kind of a 300 million portfolio loan sale, and then we did a 2.5 billion pan-European, mixed use, so resi, industrial, office, properties, which everyone told us couldn't be done. But we did a 2.5 billion loan sale, exited that, and that kind of did the job. Yeah, wow. In terms of exit. So that experience was fantastic. It was it was different. I was the client, and I had advisors helping me. So I was on the other side, so you can see it from that point of view as well, which was another. When you go back to being an advisor, putting myself in the shoes of a client, I can do that because I've been a client. Yeah. So that's why I did. But I always knew it was going to be temporary. I knew my long-term career wasn't going to be there. I knew it was
why is that? I
wanted to go back into advisory.
Okay. Yeah.
I enjoyed my time at the bank, but I knew it wasn't where I wanted to be long term. I was using it to. Sounds hard. I wasn't using it. I was doing it to help progress my career during a period where volumes weren't going to be where I wanted them to be from an advisory point of view. So I was continuing to develop myself, and knowing that at some point when the opportunity came along, I'll probably step back into the advisory world, and that kind of, I thought that'd be 3 to 4 years, ended up being 5. I spent the last few months on secondment at Lloyd's, LDC as well, so getting some live PE experience, and then the Deloitte opportunity came about, and felt the time was right to make the move there back into the professional world.
Great, and was that to come in, was that to come in and do a specific sector, or was it kind of sector agnostic?
That was sector agnostic. Okay. Scotland focused, so advisory work. So again, primarily sell side, some fundraising, but primarily sell side. Also did some buy side work as well. I was there for 9 years. Went back in as an AD, went in as a director, and I really enjoyed my time there. But again, I felt it was after 9 years, it was time for a change. I wanted to shift focus away from some of that big four piece to a more boutique, flexible environment where I can advise basically anyone in Scotland. I don't have the same sort of constraints which you would have at the big four from fees, etc. To being able to be, an advisor of choice for any business in Scotland.
Yeah. Did you see working for the big four, like Deloitte, Grant Thornton, was it quite different or fairly similar?
I think there's definitely a difference between Grant Thornton and Deloitte. I think just with the type of clients, especially in Scotland, with the makeup of the corporate landscape, Deloitte's focus was becoming more and more bigger clients, which is fine. That's not where I enjoy spending my time. I like working with owner managed businesses. Grant Thornton was great for that as well. It was a great learning experience there. And I saw a lot of that in H&H, and that ability to work with owner managed businesses in a very flexible way. Whilst at Deloitte it was that more bigger corporate type clients, which are fine, but not what excites me.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think I'm right in saying you spent about 13 years, in Central Belt in corporate finance. So your time
in professional services, it's about 18 now if you include the bank.
So did that? I guess you were talking about it earlier in terms of experience. So experience is one thing. You can go to clients and say, I've done X, Y, Z. But to win business, originate business, comes through relationships. So would you say that to be a successful corporate financier, are you quite busy at building networks?
Yes, yeah. I think it goes back
you enjoy it, so it's...
Yeah, I think it goes back to the point of you have to become an originator. So, as you progress, you do spend more and more time originating, which means you spend more and more time building a network. So we have different ways about trying to win work. It's through our network, it's through approaching businesses. But without a network, you really are to start to struggle to get your career development beyond a certain point, because you are expected to win work. So absolutely, having built a network over that 13 years and my time at Lloyd's as well, where a lot of that team have moved on to other places, has been absolutely key to help me to do my job now. And you have to invest time. But I quite enjoy it.
I was going to say that obviously helps. If you enjoy networking, I enjoy networking. I think it comes naturally to some people. To some others, it might not come so naturally. They might, enjoy interacting with people, but to kind of get themselves out there to go to an event where they think might not know anybody might be quite daunting. Would you have any advice? For people to?
One thing I'd say is to put them at ease a bit. I mean, I like networking, but I still personally hate walking into a room and I know nobody. It's not the most enjoyable experience where you've got to try and find the route into a conversation that's already happening. It's probably the thing I like least about it.
Yeah.
But my mindset shifted away from that. Yes, you have to do that sometimes, but relationships isn't necessarily about that. It's about building really good relationships with people who you want to build relationships with and who are progressing alongside you, and at some point will help from a work point of view. I've always been very clear to assistant managers and managers in our team and go, well, there's no point speaking to someone at my grades because they're not going to give us any work. So no, you should be developing with your peers and building a network. Just right now, that's the case, but in 5 years' time, everyone's developing up. And then you've got that relationship, that network built. So my advice would be, it's just really, it doesn't have to be about the big rooms with lots of people. It's about that one-to-one building relationships, and that's a lot easier. So as you're meeting people and you're finding things in common and you're having those conversations, the big rooms with lots of people in it, when you don't know anyone, I mean, I still hate that now. I'll do it, but I still hate it. It's not enjoyable.
Yeah, and you're right to point out that it's probably not a lot of the time that you have to do it in your job.
People generally will work with people they like and people they trust. So if you're in a room and you don't know anyone in there, no one's going to work with you at that point in time. But you've got to just build those relationships with people one-on-one, so that eventually, you can help them and they will help you, and that's kind of how it works.
I guess that's another point, isn't it? Is it healthy to have a mindset of like a long-term mindset, not to have the mindset of, right, I'll build this relationship and hopefully next 6 months or 12 months I'll get work back.
No, that'll never work. Yeah. It needs to be long, and I don't just mean that from we always think about it as the connector landscape, which is people like you, lawyers, PE, etc., and then corporates. It applies to both. No one's it's very rare that someone picks up the phone and says, I want you to do this bit of work for us. Is you build relationships over 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
It has to be long term. But that's how you build a relationship, and that's why people then want to work with you, is because you've invested the time to build a relationship, and they know and trust you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was keen to ask as well just about your career now. We've kind of gone through it, and we will touch on your time at H&H. But in terms of your career and highlights, you really enjoy working in lead advisory.
Yeah.
Is there one or two kind of highlights you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I think higher level, before I delve into that, I think for me, I love working with owner-managed businesses. All of my highlights always link to that. I always think, you've got someone who has built a business up over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they are entrusting you to either sell that business, or they're entrusting you to help them raise funds to go on the next path of growth. And I think that is a position of trust and privilege in my mind. So I don't know, I've had it thrown against me sometimes. I think it's a positive. Some people say sometimes you need to be a bit colder. I've always invested I put a lot of emotional investment into my deals. And that's why I like working with owner-managed businesses, because I think they appreciate that, where you are working with someone for 6, 9, 12 months, if it does well. Sometimes it's longer.
Yeah.
So being able to really, want the right outcome for your client. I am emotionally I want this deal to happen for you. Yes, okay, there's a fee on it for me, but I don't really care about that. I've known this client. I'm trying to help them achieve sometimes their life goal of exiting and being able to retire. So really investing that emotional side into it has been a real big part of how I go about my job. So all of my highlights on my deals, I can, from my first ever deal, which was WJ Dunlop, which was a veterinary wholesale distribution business down in Dumfries. I had to drive down to Dumfries for 7 months, sometimes daily, which was a joy. That was a family-run business. It was a dad and 3 sons, sold to Henry Schein, which was a FTSE 100 business. Fantastic experience. To selling Braid Logistics a couple of years ago, which was again owner-managed business based out of Glasgow. Sold to Hildebrand, which was a global drinks distribution a business, and then to Firefish Software. I did a fundraise for last year. I think I saw in Edge Testing as well, which was Brian, which was a software testing business. Well, those types of deals, they all jump out to me, not because it was successful, that helps, not because it was a deal and it was a nice fee. It was all owner-managed businesses. Real investment of my emotion and time, and and then we celebrated it at the end, and I'm still in contact with most of those people, and there's a real relationship built there, and that's the highlights for me. It's always that where you get to invest that time, and if I've any deals I haven't mentioned and they're watching this, I apologise for that. It's not just
we've not
got. I list them all out.
Exactly, we've not got lots of time, so just a few is helpful. And no, I mean I had I had a small shirt business on the side, and although that didn't scale into a massive business, you do, I guess, when you start something, you become that entrepreneur. It becomes like your baby type of thing. You've invested so much into it, you think about it all the time. It excites you, it stresses you out, etc., etc. So to have an advisor come alongside you and I guess really just put that emotion in and understand that, get on your level about how important it is to you, I can imagine is so important for a business owner, as an owner or managed business owner that wants to work with you.
I mean, there's very few deals that ever run in a nice smooth line, unfortunately. There's always speed bumps and bumps on the road, and I always try to describe it as like, when those speed bumps hit, it goes back to that solutions-driven point. but it's about kind of being, sometimes you're in the trenches together, you're trying to get this deal done, and you'd all be solutions driven from that point of view. And if you can get over those speed bumps, then that's fantastic. Then I've done my job, and the client's got what they want, and the buyer should have what they want as well, which is a nice business, or if it's a PE investor, they've got their growth there, etc.
Yeah, great. So, coming on to H&H as well, so you joined in March, so by the time this is out, hopefully you'll still be here. You'll pass your 6-month probation. And what's keeping you busy at H&H? What's the next, 6 months look like?
Yeah, so the first 6 months have been a lot of BD activity. So just out meeting people, getting the news out there. We've had great success over the last 6 months in winning new mandates. So the next 6 months for me is about starting. So having spent 6 months winning some work, it's now about converting that work. So I think the next 6 months is going to be a very busy time for us. We've probably got, so we had our record year last year. I say we, I wasn't here, but I should say we did 10 deals, which is fantastic. All advisory work. We've got our strongest pipeline we've ever had. So we just brought some new hires on. So it's all at the moment about growth and expanding and continuing to, on the back of a record year last year. So the next 6 months is going to be very, very busy in converting work, converting deals into completions, but staying on top of that BD train as well, because what you don't want to do is get into delivery focused, and therefore then you've got no pipeline. It's a constant battle to try and maintain both. So I think it's going to be a very busy 6 next months of converting our live deals, and hopefully a very successful year again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, speaking my language in terms of pipelines. Why are there maybe some years that are more successful than others? I know, market, will have a part to play, but is there anything else for maybe?
Market is probably number one. You can do all you can sometimes. COVID, that was a weird time. So COVID hit, and for 2 months we all had nothing to do, but then the market went crazy again. So if you look back now, you think when COVID hit, that was probably going to be 12 months of absolute pain, but it wasn't. It was 2 months of, hang on, let's just pause. What's going on here? But deals still got done. The Braid deal got done during that time. So it's market driven in the main. If we look at last year, 2023, although we had a really strong year, 2023 for most people was quite a tough year, driven by the increase in debt, interest costs, inflation, created a lot of uncertainty out there, which meant deal flow slowed down, mainly because an increase in debt and inflation goes to price, goes to, therefore, does somebody want to sell? Does P, is prices done? Does P want to sell? Does P want to invest? There's creates a whole dynamic. So generally speaking, there's an element of luck. You can be great at your job, but you also need a bit of luck. You need deals to continue. So if I was to say why deals don't happen, the number one thing that kills deals generally is trading dropping off during the process. Right. So that leads to buyer nervousness, can lead to price chips, and therefore can lead to deals not happening. So and as an advisor, you can't control that. So you always need that bit of luck. I don't know if I've answered the question there, but I think it's mainly market driven, a bit of luck, and it's resilience as well. I think you can have tougher years, but you can make the best of those years, even if the market's down a bit, through resilience. So I think last year, if you looked at H&H, we had a record year in a tough year, some of those deals would have been longer term clients where we'd stuck by them through some challenging times, and then we got the right outcome in the end. So, you can make things work in your own way if you show the right attributes, if you stand by your clients, and you have a bit of luck.
Yeah, and I guess that's that's why it's important to have a big pipeline as well. It's not that, I guess, kind of know that everything might not necessarily land successfully or land successfully now. It might take a bit of time because maybe some kind of go on pause or don't happen at all. But I guess that's another reason. If you don't have much going on, then there's not much chance of you having a successful year kind of thing as well. No, that's really helpful. And I guess just wrapping up as well and thinking about the next 12 months and goals that you have.
Yes.
What goals do you have professionally speaking and personally speaking, if you want to share both?
So professionally, to be honest, it's to continue to embed in the team. I'm 6 months in, and I'm still relatively new. As I said, we are all about growth and expansion at the moment. So I've got a big part to play in that in terms of, yes, I've got some good mandates on the go now, but I've got to convert those into completions because, that's how we get paid. So it's really about driving transaction completions, driving continued BD, and driving, building out the team and building out the culture as we grow that team. We're H&H is a team of about 30 now between Northern Ireland and Scotland. We've got 7 here. We want to expand that team out, and with that becomes, different challenges of creating the right culture. We're trying to move office at the moment, etc. So there's all that good stuff. So it's really trying to, for me, the next 12 months, if I look back in 12 months, we've got deal completions done, we've got a strong pipeline, we've developed out the team, we're in a new office, everyone's got a good culture. That's really what I'm trying to achieve in the next 12 months, and coming in with hopefully a fresh perspective. I feel like I've got a big part to play in that.
Well, good luck with that.
And then personally, get out running a bit more would be good. Get my handicap down, which we did in the golf, which is nowhere near where I need it to be. And I've said I've got a family and 2 young boys. They're kind of 7 and 9 now. They're getting to that stage. Traveling's always been a big part of me and my wife's history, less so recently with young boys, but they're getting to that age now where hopefully I can start getting them out and get them into the travelling bug, introduce them to new cultures. So I think that's been an important part of my development. Is you have the job, but that kind of opening yourself up to different experiences, whether it's I've done backpacking through Southeast Asia, Machu Picchu, things like that. Just all that kind of life experience you bring to your job as well. I'm a firm view of that, so I'm keen to impart that onto my boys so that they can get a taste of that and hopefully embrace that, and that's what they want to do as they go on as well. So I do think it improves you as a person.
Is there a destination number one that you'd like to get?
Good question. I've got a list. I've got a bucket list. So I'm up to. So my key goal for this year is to get to number 40. So on country. So I'm at 39. So and I'm going to Prague in a couple of weeks, and I'm being there. So that will get me to 40. So I will tick that box. In terms of where to go next, I'm very keen to Canada. I've been, but I haven't done Vancouver. But I want to get the boys over there, out on the lake, out on the bikes, out in the outdoors. That's high up on the bucket list at the moment.
Oh wow!
But yeah,
who knows?
I'm also keen. I kind of want to wait so they remember it. So we're trying to get into that stage now. So yeah.
Great, good. No, well, thank you very much for coming on. It's great to speak to you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Professional Speaks podcast. This podcast was produced by Springwood Studio Productions. Remember, you can watch the episode recording on our YouTube channel, and if you can, please do subscribe and share with all of your friends. The more people who listen to this, the more guests we can have on to share, so that you can learn, be inspired, grow, and ultimately succeed in what you want to achieve in your career. Please also contact me if you have any feedback on this episode. I'd love to hear from you.